After I've released this video and you've watched these next few minutes, I don't think the media will be able to ignore that Joe Biden is sick. Head dropped down, shoulders down, a resting tremor, confusion or disorientation, physical and cognitive symptoms. Could this be Parkinson's disease? Fellow Americans, lend me your ears. There's been much controversy surrounding former Vice President Joseph R. Biden's deteriorating health condition and cognitive decline. And while you and I are having these conversations on the internet, our mainstream media is simply missing in action. My name is Ali Alexander, and when my team discovered this video from a 2012 appearance, I knew this was it. After I've released this video and you've watched these next few minutes, I don't think the media will be able to ignore that Joe Biden is sick. That will no longer be up for debate. What will is the diagnosis and how severe it remains. I want to share with you this damning proof and take you on the same journey I toured for weeks with my team as we discovered additional evidence that furthered our hypothesis. Here is that 2012 appearance. Although that video was shocking, no one can deny what every viewer just witnessed. This is what's called a resting tremor. It's involuntary and it's an indication of a neurological problem. Even after viewing this video the first time, this piece of evidence of a broader problem, I remained skeptical that we could begin the investigative journey into discovering the underlying condition, especially at this late hour in the 2020 presidential election. How could it be that after 8 years, this would go by and no one would drum it up? Was it scrubbed from the internet like so many other videos, suppressed by partisan managers and soulless algorithms? What experimental drugs could the former vice president be on that could relieve him of some of these symptoms in what looks like a progressive disease? And lastly, how could I even form a hypothesis on what he has or doesn't have, and how could I test it? I'm a concerned American patriot, so I felt an obligation to put my resources to work. I'm not a medical professional and I'm certainly not a doctor, but someone needs to do the job that our partisan corporate press refused to do. So when my team and I consulted medical professionals and trusted patrons, we ran into our first probable working hypothesis. Could this be Parkinson's disease? This was our first unifying theory, maybe, and it seemed to explain both the physical and cognitive symptoms frequently passed around in these internet viral videos. You see, as I've learned from the experts, Parkinson's disease has a particular type of cognitive decline, a dementia that's associated more with forgetfulness and not a loss of intelligence. This disease also hosts a whole slew of physical symptoms represented by the acronym TRAP: tremors, rigidity, akinesia, and postural instability. Before revisiting Biden's dementia, I want to show just some of the evidence that we've gathered from over 100 hours of doing research on TRAP, the physical ailments of the former vice president and what he seems to be suffering from, partially relieved by ever-present aids and elusive drugs. In our initial video, we observed Joe Biden with a resting tremor in his left hand. This is important. On January 13, 2017, President Obama surprised Vice President Joe Biden with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. There, under a high-stress, high-anxiety situation, we observed Joe Biden's right hand with a resting tremor. Here's a side-by-side with a confirmed Parkinson's patient and their episode with arresting tremor. And just this year on The Daily Show, we see another tremor that throws his full body into an involuntary spasm until he regains his composure by pulling down on his suit jacket. This has a chilling effect all the way up to his bottom jaw, where he expresses a moment of pain. We'll play this video a couple of times so you can press pause and observe it for yourself. Studious observers may also note that even while Biden is right-handed, he uses his left hand to frequently grip pens and microphones. Parkinson's disease patients lose control of their handwriting. The legibility deteriorates. We knew that this would be something easy to fact-check. After all, Joe Biden is a public figure and a politician. Please examine these three letters. One in 1994. The other in early 2019. And the last in mid to late 2019. We can see how Biden's handwriting gets less legible as he ages. The Parkinson's Foundation calls this micrographia. They say, and I quote, "Micrographia is caused by the same processes in the brain that lead to the other movement symptoms of the disease. In addition to those symptoms, slowness of movement, tremor, rigidity, it can all make it harder to write." Parkinsonian gait is a less distinctive, less steady walk that arises from the changes in posture, slowness in movement, and a shortened stride. This may be difficult to spot at first, but in comparison, it's actually not that difficult at all. Former Vice President Biden in his walk is exhibiting all of the symptoms. Leaning unnaturally forward, head dropped down, shoulders down, with bent knees and hips. Compare him with the gentleman walking next to him. Heels down, toes up, walking in regular strides. There is a purpose. This is a normal walk. Biden is having an episode. This also explains why Biden always needs handlers around and why they're always the same familiar, smaller female archetypes. These handlers are not only attempting to protect outsiders from his behavioral fits, but also there for physical help, moving around. According to the Alzheimer's Association, 50 to 80% of those with Parkinson's will experience dementia. According to the Mayo Clinic, some of the psychological symptoms associated with dementia include anxiety, inappropriate behavior, paranoia, agitation, and even hallucinations. For decades, we've seen viral videos of Joe Biden's verbal gaffes.
I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Just clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote.
And only people will be deported are people who committed a felony while here. That's number one. Okay, I lost that.
Yeah, well, but that's good.
Science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
However, incidents of late seem to be increasing in their frequency. He seems more forgetful and sometimes even bordering on violence.
And you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush. Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
Deaths in America from handguns, and there are what you call assault rifles. Why are you advocating for assault rifles when people are dying by handguns?
One day you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack. What you heard. Look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, Fat, look, here's the deal.
I'm not voting for you.
Well, I knew you weren't, man. You think I thought you'd stand up and vote for me? You're too old to vote for me.
What was your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine, in your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not gonna respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done. No president.
The Mayo Clinic observes these following cognitive changes: memory loss.
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
Difficulty communicating or finding words.
For example, the Paycheck Protection Act. You know, 1% of the money's gone out. 1%. 1% of the that's not the paycheck. The bill for small businesses.
Lending.
Mainstream lending, 1%'s gone out. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Difficulty with visual or spatial abilities. Confusion or disorientation.
Right this way, sir.
Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. And so the whole point of this is that we can do a lot to deal with endangered species. And one of the things I would like to raise is that we have to deal with this on an international basis as well. Because right now, for example,
Look, the doctor, listen to the science. The scientists say that, scientists say that it's safe, the distances are safe, then I think that's fine.
On several occasions, President Trump, Biden's opponent, has called for drug testing. Joe Biden has declined to take a drug test or even answer any questions surrounding the issue. Biden's adamant refusal to take a simple drug test also coincides with a recent string of early lids in his campaign. This is where he shuts down his campaign activities for the full day, sometimes as early as 9:30 a.m. In August of this year, Rear Admiral Dr. Ronnie Jackson, a doctor who served both the Obama White House and the Trump White House, stated this about Biden's issues, quote, "I won't make any particular diagnosis about dementia, but what I will say is that something is not right." Biden himself, in a 2018 interview with CBS News, said it would be totally legitimate for voters and journalists to be concerned about his age and ability to function properly. So this begs the question, what is Joe Biden hiding? With hundreds of man-hours of research, thousands of dollars spent, and the reputational risks that go along with making this video, why should I release it? Because I must. Our corporate partisan press is MIA, and they don't care about our republic. I wanted to publish this evidence so that the American medical community could come up with their own diagnosis, and we could bypass the mainstream media. Additionally, I would like for other citizen journalists to find evidence that furthers our hypothesis or comes up with counter ones. And lastly, I have a message for the former Vice President of these United States. Mr. Vice President, come clean. It is so important that the people know the truth before the majority of us cast our ballots.